This may be the spot. Thank you for inviting me to have conversation with you today. And I am certain that you all know everyone in this room by name, first and last name, and their positions, right? You know everyone in this room? Not yet, not. Well, this is what I'm going to ask you to do. Just raise your hand and just wave at folks. Just wave at folks. Just make eye contact. Just wave at folks. Wave at folks. I truly understand that when we're in settings like this, we normally sit with our team. You know, that's going to be shaken up today, right? It's going to be shaken up today just a little bit. But what I am excited to do is just have conversation with you. Austin and Julia and some of the other team members invited me to talk about what does it look like as far as leadership is concerned. How do you work as a team? And how do you also uh, work through challenges, identify challenges. We know that we can bring a problem, but we also need to be able to bring some solutions. So what we're going to do today is talk about solutions, what that looks like in your world, how you handle it as a team collectively, what your common language will be when you're having challenges, and how to be champions for each other. That's what we're going to talk about today. So that being said, there's going to be some interactive things going on today. So what I'm going to get the clicker and I'm going to get started and I'm seeing if it will go in the right direction. Clicker, 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 clicker. Oh, oh, it went too many directions, too many directions. Let's see if we can take this back. Let's see where we are. Okay, you all have seen the whole presentation. You've seen the whole presentation. Okay, there we go. I do believe you had the opportunity to get a workbook that was handed out. That was like pre-work. We may use this workbook, but we're going to go off the presentation today. The workbook was basically to kind of get you thinking about what are some challenges, what are some strategies, what am I thinking, how do I work with my team as a whole, but also when I'm working out in the community with teachers and administrators, what does that look like? So this agenda right here, it's going to be fluid. It's going to be fluid because that looks like a lot. That absolutely looks like a lot on the agenda. But what we're going to do is take it down in bite-sized pieces. The big thing that I am always curious to know when I work with a team is the why behind what the work that you do. The why behind the work that you do. And when we think about that, one of the things that I want to know, as you have saw what was on the agenda, what is it that you want to get out of this day? What specifically, knowing that you had that workbook, you looked at some things, you have probably had some team conversations. What is it that you want to get out of this conversation today as it relates to the work that you do? I'm good with silence. Any thoughts? Any thoughts? What do you want to get out of today? You have been briefed about what is happening today? You have been briefed? Okay, let's do this. This is a safe space. Although I'm looking at you, and when I walk out this room, I'm not going to remember who was in this room. So what you say is among your colleagues and your team members and your peers. And so something that you may say is probably something that someone else was thinking. I wish I knew this. Why don't we talk about this? How do we manage this? What are some best practices that are working for other team members? So the question is, what do you want to get out of this today? Everybody stand up. Just stand up. Just stand. Everybody stand up. Everybody. If you can stand, stand. If you can stand, stand. If you can stand, stand. Thank you. Thank you. We're just going to get a stretch in. We're just going to get a stretch in. Just going to get a stretch in. That's it. However you stretch, stretch. If you dance, get your 250 steps in because you got the Fitbit on. Get your steps in. Get your steps in. This is going to be a conversation where we want you to feel comfortable. This is going to be a conversation among your peers to talk about concerns and issues that you may have. And so turn to your left, Turn to your right. Do the hokey pokey. What? Come on, come on, come on, come on. Just relax just a little bit. Take that deep breath. Take that deep breath. Take that deep breath. I see you waving. I see you making eye contact. Let's just do this. There you go. Way in the back, way in the back, way in the back. Thank you. You all may have a seat. Now let's just start this question one more time. Knowing that you are here for some leadership development, knowing that you are here to increase your skills, knowing that you are here to have conversations with your team members, with your colleagues. What is it that you want to get out of this day? What do you want to get out of this time frame? And let me be transparent here. I have a hearing device, and so usually when we're doing presentations, someone will say, and people will not say, use the mic. People will not say that. So when someone is speaking, what I need for individuals to do is either have the mic, do we have extra microphones? To use the microphone, I will pass it to you, or to project. Because oftentimes we use our conversation voices. There's 100 people in the room and everyone cannot hear you. So if you are speaking, I would prefer, I'm going to request that you please stand, say your name. Names are so important. Say your name and tell me what you're thinking. Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that? Can we agree on that? Okay, and when I repeat things like that, I'm listening for an audible response. I don't know who's in the room because we normally do body language. We do that. And someone said, did they respond to her? Did they say yeah? Speak loudly. I want to hear people's voices today. We in agreement on that? Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. I saw a hand over here. Okay.
My name's Heather, and basically what I'm hoping to get out of this is to figure out how we can become a better team and actually figure out what we're doing.
Okay, Miss Heather, before you turn that microphone over, when you say become a better team, can you drill that down for me?
We need to figure out what we're doing and how we're doing it. I feel like we need to get together. We're not meeting. We kind of are existing, but we're not really existing, if that makes sense. And that was pretty vulnerable.
Thank you, Miss Heather. What we do, how we do it, better team. That's what a better team means to Miss Heather. What are we doing? How are we doing it? Give us some direction. That's what it sounded like. Okay. Anyone else? What do you want to get out of this?
So I'm Kara.
You are
Kara.
Kara.
With a K. And what I'd like to get is just, excuse me, any strategies that other teams have to overcome, like the teacher resistance part of it. So like actually getting teacher buy-in and getting them to really buy into what we're doing and how it's going to help their students and getting them to implement strategies that we're using. He's my team member. I can tell him to shut up.
Right.
So looking for some strategies, some best practices for how individuals are working with teachers to get their support and buy-in. Is that what you said? Okay. Okay. I think I saw a hand all the way in the back. Okay.
Mine was very much along the same lines as hers. Was
Kara?
how do we become better leaders to other teachers that are working in this? Because I am a teacher and I still see resistance with the group that I work with.
And tell us your name, sis.
Valerie.
Austin.
So this is from online, and it's Team M, and they say, we would like to be more efficient. Be more efficient. Team M, we would like to know what be more efficient means. And then another online team has said they want information of how other teams work and function. How other teams work and function. I'll let you know if I get clarification on efficient. Here's the clarification. They want to be more efficient with their time, meetings with each other, and meeting with students.
Okay. Anyone else here? Okay.
So we were talking about along the lines of efficiency. How do we become efficient and do a good job when this is our plus 40-hour job? It's not our job, it's our side job. So how do we do a good job when we're already working and busy?
Hey.
Waiting for Effie to tell us what to do.
And tell me your name.
My name's Wendy.
Whitney?
Wendy.
Whitney. So we're talking about work, managing this workflow, because there's only what 40 hours in a work week, right? 40 hours in a work week. And so how do you do what you're required to do and then all the other additional that you take on? Your plate is already overflowing. What are you going to take off? And what are you going to agree as a team to take off? Okay. We have a question here.
I'm Cherry.
Carrie?
Cherry, like the fruit. Yeah. I would like to tackle on there's like pockets of magic happening in our district where people are doing amazing things and how to systemize that, how to make that, how to scale up these really great things that are happening in places and making that how can we reproduce that and how can we teach other teams to do what those little pockets of magic are doing.
This does not have a spell check on it, so. Okay. Anything else? Anything else? You have added to the agenda. Anything else? Anything else? This is definitely a good start. Definitely a good start. as to what do you want to get out of this. So what we're going to do, we're going to go through this conversation today. We're going to circle back around to this to make sure that we have captured, that we have answered, that we have given you some strategies and some ideas onto how to tackle these. These were the same things that Julia and Austin said. We need this, we need this, we need this to talk about it. So we will make sure that your time here today is going to be well worth it. Whenever we go and do a presentation, I go and do a presentation, I want to know what you're all about. And I go on your social media pages and I look at your front facing, I go to your website and I see what your mission says. And because I'm in equity, diversity, and inclusion, I try to read through these words. Is it inclusive? Is it leading through a lens of equity? Is it belonging? Is it welcoming? Is it all of that? And so when I read these, and you know this is your mission statement, right? It's tattooed somewhere, right? No, it's not tattooed. But this is what you all say that you do. This is what you all say that you do. And the first word is our. That's inclusive. Our mission is to empower students. Students have an S on it. That means all the students that you work with. You empower these students through the devices that you offer them for them to be successful. That's it in a nutshell. You are inclusive. You are welcoming. You are building a team that provides students the ability to be successful. Now, what that success looks like is going to be different for each student. We absolutely know that. It's going to be different from how you deliver that information as well. But knowing that your mission is inclusive is the first start. Okay. So how do you think about the work you do? How do you think about the work that you do individually? The work that you do. I know you only got 40 hours to do the work. I know you want to be more efficient. I know you want to celebrate. What was the last celebration that you had? What happened? So a celebration, when you all get together and someone says, I had a breakthrough with a student. I had a breakthrough with a teacher. The administrator wrote the check. I had a cup of coffee. What's your celebration? What's your celebration? Food truck? What did you say?
I had Salvadorian food.
That's what I'm saying. At the food truck.
Oh, no.
Not that one.
Somewhere else.
Somewhere else. Food truck. I'm just saying food truck. I mean, you can't go wrong with a food truck. Now, when we talk about celebrations, we're talking personal celebrations as well. But you're talking your professional celebrations. And what does that look like as well? Who has had? We got, I'm just saying. Just saying, that's a celebration right there since the pandemic that you were able to go out and socialize and be in a space that brings you joy. That brings you joy. So what brings you joy? What have you celebrated either collectively as a team or individually? When was the last team collective celebration? Okay, Miss Julia, we have a hand with a, are we getting batteries for the microphone? No. Thank you, sis. Thank you.
So my name is Kim, and we just started in our group each time we meet twice a month, giving examples of like success stories. And actually, it's been really great because I've noticed since we've started doing it, I feel like I am more consciously on the outlook for like great things that are happening. So, and I notice things more. So that's been good. Take one down.
There are team celebrations, great things that are happening. Was your hand up? Okay.
So I'm Susie Kuzme. I work in the Jordan School District. As a UAT team, we don't do celebrations, but as a speech team, We do them every week as part of our team meeting because in the beginning of the year, I felt my team's morale was really tanking. And like you were saying, once we started to do celebrations every week, I noticed two things. One, you're looking more for the positive, but it was also a good check-in for my team members because when they couldn't find a student celebration and they said something like, we all got into work safe today, it was kind of like a red flag for me, like, okay, you're not really looking for the positive or you're not seeing the positive, and we can kind of target in on that. And I think that's been a really great thing that we've added to our team meetings. It's a Jordan School District. It's my speech team. And we had a specific celebration this week where one of our SLPs is making boards for community based. So she's using Board Maker to do like fringe vocabulary for different locations. And one of our students' parents wanted all the boards that we have so that he could use them at home because he's going to find them at home when they go to Taco Bell and Wendy's and things like that.
So this is from Team M again, and they say, our team recognizes that we do not take enough time to recognize our success or our accomplishments. We made it a goal to focus on this area. So they are dropping truth that they are not doing that enough.
My question to you all in regards to some best practices. When we're talking about celebrations, who other than your team knows this is happening? The other people in the room, who else knows this is happening outside of your team? And what mechanisms do you have in place to shout it out? This is what we did today. You know, people are going to get sick of you. No. This is what we did today. This is how we celebrated today. How do you make that known for all of the individuals in this space? Okay. Is there a electronic platform that could be used that would go out on an e-blast to say, Team M did this today, let's celebrate Rebecca. Rebecca made this breakthrough with this student. This is what Rebecca did. Is there a Rebecca in the house? I'm just saying. There's a Rebecca in the house. There's a Becky in the house. Okay. So how do you, when you're talking about celebrating what is going on, how do you share that? Or do you move on and now you're doing the next thing and that 40 hours become 45 hours? When do you pause? When do you pause to celebrate the magic, the joy, and the small wins? And then how do you ripple that out to your team members? What does that look like? So you have a team who has created a goal, who's going to take a moment to create a goal. And hopefully, whatever that goal is, it will ripple out to everyone and say, this is what we did step one. This is what we did step two. This is how we're going to recognize each other. So hopefully there will be a sharing opportunity that you can also incorporate in what you're doing. Sounds good? Okay. So how do you think about your work? How do you think about your work? How do you think about your work? Is it good? You're here. You're here. You keep coming back. Some part of it must bring you joy. Some part of it makes you think about that joy. Is this really? Some of it makes you probably want to not come back. Anybody ever just got up one morning and said, listen, today is Wednesday. I'm done. Anybody? Let me raise my hand because the day is Wednesday and I'm done. I'm done. I am done. But then you come to a training at 1 o'clock in the afternoon to get rejuvenated with your colleagues and your peers. And then you get up tomorrow and you come back for some additional training. So the done can be temporary, but do you acknowledge it? Do you speak about it? Do you have conversations about it? Do you think you're going to be judged if you say to a colleague, listen, I'm done. I'm done. I'm truly done. Let's be done together. We out of here. We do that. And then I go get a piece of pie and I'm all good. But the question is, have you created this safe space to have this type of conversation with your team? Because burnout is real. And your emotional well-being, your psychological well-being, your physical, your mental, your spiritual, your well-being is important for you to do the work that you do on a daily basis. So how do you have those conversations? How do you think about the work that you do? Do you all talk about it? And it's not whining. It's not, okay, it can be whining. It can be. It can be. But only for like 3 minutes. You can whine for 3 minutes, then bring me a solution. It can be that, but have you created a space where you can have the conversation with your team members to talk about, I'm really having a bad day. My girlfriends and I have a group of girlfriends. We have code words. One of the code words is fruit cup. When one of us says fruit cup, we drop everything we're doing and we go to that sister. We go find her because she's having a moment. If she's sending out a signal on fruit cup, something is happening. So do you all have a word that if you said it, your team member would be like, oh, we gotta stop everything. We gotta not be at this meeting right now. We need to go and have conversation and provide support. How do you provide support? So when you think about the work that you do, how do you provide support to your team members? Do you? Do you wanna? Keep in mind, this is a safe space. Listen, I don't even like my team members, okay? I don't care if they call fruit cup 10 times. I ain't coming to the rescue. It ain't happening. It ain't happening. That's real. I mean, that's real. But how do you create this team where you can build trust, where you can be courageous, where you can talk about, I'm really having a struggle with this. Who can help me with this? I know Becky's the expert on this. I'm going to give Becky a call. Becky's not on my team, but she's on my team. Do you know who you can call in this space? Everybody's got everybody's email, phone numbers. You know how to text people. They're on Facebook. You all know how to connect with your team members. Are you connecting when you need help? Are you connecting? Thoughts, questions, comments? How do you think about the work you do? How do you think about it? How do you think about it? Yes.
I think for me, this is so interesting because like my speech team, we're housed in the same building and we meet every week. So we do the celebrations every week. We all are in the same office. So you can kind of tell when someone's off or someone will like today, someone brought in bagels because they wanted everyone to be happy because it's raining. But with our assistive technology team, we're not in the same building. We're all spread out. We might meet in person. We might meet online. You know, we're meeting twice a month now. We're doing evals once a month, and then we're meeting once a month, but it's virtual. There's definitely not the same team feeling with assistive technology team for our district as I'm realizing now with like the team at my school that's doing the same job that I'm doing.
Everybody sick of Zoom? Is everybody sick of Zoom? Okay, thank you. As a couple of hands raised up. Teams, Zoom, Google Meet, I'm about sick of it. I'm about sick of it. But knowing that this is the world that we live in, how do we create a space where we can create community through this virtual world that we live in? Logistically, we can meet with each other. That's a good thing. But if you have teams in other locations, how do you create that space where there is a sense of community? What does that look like? And have you had the conversation? We've got some of your team members on Zoom today. And how are they feeling connected? What does that look like for creating community? So when we think about how do you think about the work that you do, is from the front door to the back door, all four walls. And within that community, how do you think about it? But then do you have a solution if there's a negative response? If there's a negative response, done with Zoom, okay, give me a solution. If we don't do Zoom for our out-based staff members, colleagues, how do we get them involved? What does that look like? Today, you have brought individuals to this space to physically be present, but still there are some that is out there in the virtual world. So when you think about your job, when you think about your work, knowing that you are working with teachers and administrators and students and parents, what are some things that if you could change today, you would change it? If you could change it today, you would change it. You can put it in your workbook. I know there's a handout over there for that. So what methods or techniques are used to get leadership to provide what is needed to be successful? What do you need to be successful in the work that you do? Have you all thought about what you need to be successful? What do you need to be successful? What resources do you need? What mentoring, what coaching? What do you need to be successful in the work that you do? Recognize that there's 40 hours in the week and you're doing 48, you're doing 50, you're doing 60. What do you need to be successful? Can you say to your supervisor, listen, I've done 40 hours. It's only Wednesday. I won't be here Thursday and Friday. Can you do that? You can't do that. You can't do that? Have you tried to do it? You've tried to do it? Did you get a consensus of everyone in this room to say, we have worked 40 hours, it's Wednesday, we won't be here Thursday and Friday? What will happen? What will happen? This is a safe space now. What will happen? You would lose your job? So let me ask you this question then. If you all collectively said, this is what we do Monday through Friday, this is the time frame it takes to do these particular activities. In order for me to be successful, to continue to be the best employee that you have ever hired, I need to have some flexibility in my work schedule. See, that's a different way of saying I'm not coming in. I need to have some flexibility in my work schedule. I'm not coming in Thursday. It's all how you frame the request. How do you frame the request? I need to have some flexibility in my work schedule. And this is what I am proposing to you. On Wednesday, I will come in at 10. On Thursday, I will leave at 2. Bring the solutions as well. Would that work? I'm just giving you a thought as to if you're doing 40 hours and it's already Wednesday and how do you change that? How do you change that framework? Because you have always done it. You have always done it this way. It is expected of you to always do it this way. So my question is, what do you need from leadership to be successful? What does that even look like? What does success look like for you individually and collectively as a team?
My name's Marcy, and at my school, I feel like that I get put in the, I work at a school, I'm an SLP, I get put in the teacher box. So then if I'm not at a training or something, then my direct supervisor says, well, then the teachers will wonder why you weren't there if you don't show up, even though it's about IXL math or something that I don't need to learn any more about because I've learned, so I could use a supervisor that understood my position. Make sense? Can I join your team?
tell her that example. I think that's good.
So my principal did ask me, because I'm supposed to be at professional development tomorrow morning for a couple hours, and I said, well, I'm going to go to UATT, and she says, well, make sure you talk with whoever's going to be around because all the teachers are going to wonder where you are. But I'm already at professional development for me. So yeah, so that's what I come up against. But why do they care where I am? I don't care where the teachers are. I really don't think the teachers care where I am either. They're like, if you show up, show up. If you don't, you don't. You know?
I heard a little salty. I heard a little salty in that, Marcy, but I receive it. I receive it. So the thing is, no, this is salty is good. Salty is good. Really, it's not good. So when your principal says, well, do what she said, because the teachers will want to know where you are. And your response to her is?
I didn't know what to say, but she let me, she let me come. She's like, sure, just, do this first. But yeah, I didn't know what to say to that. So maybe I need to give me some more words.
So the thing is that just let them know I'll be in professional development. Period. That's it. We don't got to go into it. Just let them know if they ask, I'll be in professional development. That's it. It's how we reframe it. How we reframe because we will pause and we will walk away and say, I can't believe my principal said that to me. What did she think? Did she? And then we get angry and they don't even know that you're angry. Just let them know I'll be in professional development. Yes. Thank you.
What if when you come, I'm Robert. Hi, everyone. What if when you come back from professional development, you're able to go back to your supervisor, whoever, and say, this is what I learned, this is what I'm bringing back. So we can celebrate those successes and let them see what we're actually doing.
Absolutely wonderful. Absolutely. I would expect that everything that you learned this week, it's almost not weekend yet. Thank you, Robert. Everything that you have learned in these sessions, that you will go back to whoever you share this information. You share this, you're on the agenda. Someone paid for you to be here, didn't it? Y'all getting paid for this today, right? This is a work day. This a work day? Are y'all getting paid? Okay, I'm just saying, because we can all go home now. Get on the agenda. And so now you're training individuals, you're reframing how they view personal development with what you're doing as well. Let me share with you what I learned at this session that we can implement moving forward that will benefit not only our teachers, our faculty, our staff, but also the students that we serve. It will benefit what I learned. It will benefit staff, faculty, students, teachers, parents. I need to be on the agenda for 5 minutes. How many of you are on the team agendas, staff agendas, meeting agendas, principal agendas, administrator agendas on a regular basis? Let's see hands up high. We see hands up high, hands up high. So look around the room at your colleagues who are on agendas to talk about what they have learned and talk about the successes and how it's going to benefit the group as a whole. Because how do we reframe? I went to this meeting, I want to tell you what I learned. Okay. It is going to benefit. So choosing your words and reframing why it is important for you to be here and how you're now going to go back and share what you have learned. How you gather that support from your leadership. What else do you need to be successful? No more money, no more resources. You have everything that you need.
I work in a larger district, and so I do UATT full time. But the thing that I hear from our teachers and SLPs who are trying to implement assistive technology is that they don't have the time in resources to get the things that are like essential done. And so they see assistive technology as kind of non-essential. And so I'll get to it after I get through A, B, C, the things I have to do that. So it's kind of at the bottom of the priority list. And it's hard for me because even if I say I could come in and do a training, or I could come in and support, what can I do to support you? It's difficult because I can't create more time in their day. So that is a barrier.
Oh, I was going to say the same thing. Like we need fully staffed teams, and then teachers need paras and additional support so they can implement what we talk about.
You need more people resources.
People resources.
Okay. When we talk about time, teachers are already in a meeting, right? They're already in a meeting. How do we get on their agenda? They're already there. How do we get on their agenda? We're not asking them to do something extra. We're going to show up for 7 minutes. We're going to do the presentation. We're going to say, if you need additional information, let's talk. But when you share the presentation, it's got to be the presentation that they're going to say, why didn't I know this, and how can I make this happen? Meet them where they already are. Meet them where they already are. When we're talking about more people and resources, what does that look like? When you say I need more people, what does that mean? I need 2 people, 3 people, 10 people. When it talks about resources, what does that mean? I need dollars. I need resources as far as the technology itself. When we're talking about what we need, how do we drill this down to be specific all the way to the bottom? What does that look like? So if I only need 2 additional people to help me do the work, who do I go to know that someone is looking to volunteer? I'm not sure how the system works, if they have to be certified, trained, any of that, but where do we go find those individuals? Where do we make that happen? And my question is, when you look at those individuals that you interact with, your 5 influencers, would someone in your circle of influence be a volunteer for you? Have we thought about our circle of friends that would come and help us do this work? Because they know the work that you're doing, they know the impact that you're having on students. They think that you walk on water. Would you invite them to come try it out and see what I'm doing? I don't know what the criteria is on that to bring into individuals, but have we thought about who is our circle of influence that we will also can invite to be part of this work that you do? Okay, barriers to success. Administrators, Board of Education, teachers, school districts. Barriers. Barriers. How do we turn them into our friends? How do we tell them what they need, even though they don't know what they need? Based on the work that you do, what is your shining story that if this kid made this progress, then all kids can make this type of progress? How do you sell it? How do you market it? How do you highlight it? How do you eliminate these barriers? What are some solutions that we could offer? When we talk about administrators, what is the biggest barrier with the administrators that you work with? Money. Money. Now, when you say money, what does that mean? What does it cost to run your program? Does anyone know what it costs to run your program? Your individual program, dollar amount per student? And the return on that student being successful, how can you equate what the dollar amount is to the return on the student being successful? Do we know that? No? Okay, we'll come back to barriers and solutions. How do you eliminate the resistance? Can someone tell me what the why is? The work that you do, what's the why? I know we have the mission. What's your personal why? Yes.
My why is better outcomes for all of my students.
Okay, drill that down for us. What is outcomes?
I work in severe special education, and a lot of my students get left behind in every aspect. They don't get included with a lot of the mainstream curriculum. They don't get included in mainstream activities. And when I give them a voice or other means to participate, it helps them have better outcomes. That's what research says. So.
Give me an example. We're going to drill down. So when you say that they have better outcomes, because now they're mingling with other students and they're getting other curriculum and they're being invited and they're participating, what can you say? Emma participated in this, and this is how she now responds to this.
They build a better community after school, after they leave the education system. The education system is such a short period of time in a student's life. Once they leave the education system, they've developed the skills that they need to build the community that they want to be in.
Okay, give me a skill that they have used to build the community to make it better.
They are able to communicate their needs. I want to have a drink of juice. I don't want that water. I want the juice, or I want that. They build their vocabularies from not being able to communicate and having very large behaviors and reactions to things because they haven't had those words to communicate.
So what you do with this particular student, when they enter into the program, they may have limited skills. By time they exit the school, their skills have improved where they were not being able to communicate what their needs, what their desires are. They are now able to have this conversation and express what their needs are.
Exactly.
Okay, so how do you frame that? Absolutely, just what you just said. Because when you say that their skills improved, what skills? Where were they here? Where were they midway? Where are they now? And how does that contribute to their success? So it's not just the school did something successful, how does it contribute to their success as well? So when we're talking about getting the administrators to eliminate that barrier, your why is it. Your why in detail. Down, you keep drilling, drill, drill until you say they communicate to build the community, to identify what their needs are, and now they have progressed to ABCD. That makes sense?
Yes.
Okay. Yes. We have a hand up.
So my name's Heather again. I just wanted to piggyback on what she was saying and for those outcomes. And I guess it's a little bit of a success story, but just even having a device to be able to go to a job and even tell a joke. Because I had a nonverbal student going to work, being able to tell a joke.
Miss Heather, give me one
Yes,
second.
sorry.
Because I want to turn around and look at you. I don't mean like that.
No, you're good.
Okay.
But just even that outcome of being able to have a job, right? And not being able to communicate with other people. And we kind of sometimes just get stuck in, hi, how are you? The basics of communication. But the job became so much more meaningful for this student. And to the point, and the family got even involved, like, okay, what kind of joke can we find to put on this little device that Robbie can go to work and, hey, how's it going? Knock, knock, who's there? And have that meaningful interaction with other individuals who then now take notice of Robbie, go out of their way to say hi to him. Hey, what joke do you have today? It creates a more meaningful existence in life. And I guess that's probably why that's my why.
Okay. And without this device, Robbie would not be able to communicate in this level. And so how do you share that with administrators who are barriers to say, we don't have the resources to do this? What example do you just used Robbie to say, and this individual is now flourishing in the community. Others have also embraced him and is now also mentoring him so that in the next level of whatever he wants to do as a job, he has now developed those skills. So you take it to the next level because Robbie does this. Those who interact with him do this. Now Robbie gets to do this because of a device that he was able to use that was provided by the administrators. So when we're talking about drill it down, the impact that it has, it's not that Robbie goes and tells jokes. It's the interaction that Robbie has with others and how others see him and how others also recognize the skills that are being developed in him. Okay? Yes.
Eric, I think one of the important things, like when trying to communicate that to the rest of education, right, is to use their language, right? So we talk tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. Tier 1 is all students. Tier 2, some. Tier 3, oh, we're getting a little more specific, and then special education, right? But right now, what you're talking about is communication. Where should communication be? Tier 1, right? Every single student should have access to communication. Is that the case? Probably not in most of our districts, right? Probably not in part due to funding and access to devices, training on devices, all of those kinds of things. But communication is tier 1. Like there shouldn't be a reason why we don't do certain things. Reading should be tier 1, even if it's access to that, using their language that they understand instead of, oh, assistive technology. Because I'll be honest, like I have a boss and still goes, assistive technology, cool. Like it's still a voodoo kind of word. It's not tier 1, tier 2, tier 3 special education.
So tell me why is that? Because when you're telling the story about and he used an assisted device to move forward to develop skills, and we're talking about communication is the basic of tier 1. Everyone should be able to communicate. If we're saying tier 1 and everyone knows communication falls under that, how do we frame it where we make it more personal as well? The impact of the communication skills that is in tier 1 that Robbie is now being able to project out in the community has had this impact not only on him, his family, as well as those that he worked with. So I understand language. I absolutely understand language. You have to use the language to get individuals to buy into it. But when we're talking about the humanity of your students and parents, how do you make it personal? And if you make it personal, do people then shut down? I don't know your system. I don't know your system. Do people shut down when you make it personal? This is what Robbie did. And because this school district provided this for this student, look at the success. So how do you do that? How do you do that?
I've sent videos to my administrator before of students using their technology, and it's very obvious in the video that this student was severely physically disabled and using the communication device was able to express himself. Oh, sorry. So I've taken videos of students using their technology and sent that to administration before. And I think that personal view of the child, I think hits home for those administrators. So that was helpful.
Video of students using the devices shared with administrators. So when you get on that agenda, you've got your 3-second video. And in closing, let me show you the impact the devices use. Cue the video. Use everything you got. Use everything you got. Yes.
One thing that I found beneficial is when parents actually see the value in it. When parents will contact the administrator or that student's teacher and they'll be like, oh my gosh, this is what my student did. This is super exciting. We've never had that student do this before, which is really, really cool for me to see as a teacher, but also for my administrator to see and for other teachers on my team to see.
So all the things that you are sharing here we've got strategies, we've got best practices. How do we bring it all together so that you can click on a link somewhere on your site and say, okay, I want to see the short video that's been put together so I can see how to create my video. I want to understand the language that we're going to use when we're talking with administrator. Here are some suggested languages that we can use. Where in your space, you all got technology. This is a state government. I know y'all got technology. How can get your IT team to create a informational page for you all? Well, you can go in and get those resources. You can click on the video, you can click on the language, you can click on that. How do you make that happen?
I don't know the answer. My name's Steve. I'm in San Juan School District. It's a real rural district. And so we have a real need to, we feel disconnected in a lot of ways from the rest of the state. So we feel like you guys have all the answers up here. Don't shake your head. But a way to be able to access that really easily would be super awesome. For us to be able to see what Chad's doing here or see what Eric's doing there, or that would be super helpful for us because Chad has the answers. So does Eric.
Okay, it is 2:08 in the afternoon, and we're just going to get restarted. I appreciate the chatter and the conversation, but what we're going to do in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to get started, we're going to get started, and we're going to get started. And again, thank you all for participating. Thank you all for engaging. I know 8 minutes wasn't long enough. It should have been 15, but you would have never come back if we did 15. So thank you for coming back in 8 minutes. When we're talking about eliminating resistance, when we're talking about eliminating resistance, we want to be able to define the why, but also define the long-term benefits for students. Have you thought about the long-term benefits for students and their parents and the community? Now, knowing that we only have a half day to have this conversation, we're not going to get to the meat of everything, but there is an exercise that we're going, actually there's 2 exercises that we're going to do. This is for continuous conversation. I will send this presentation to Austin and Julia, and they can share this. This is yours. You own this information here. So being able to shift the language, defining student success, identify what is needed. You all have talked about what is needed, but also being able to listen to the response, why you are not receiving this, okay? Why you can't be at this particular time, why the resources are limited. Understand how you are going to respond to those responses as well. But being able to find a champion, I'm sure there's someone in your school who would walk on hot coals for you for the work that you do with your students. I'm sure there is someone. Anybody got someone in their circle of influence that would be a champion to go with? We see someone pointing over there. We've got champions that will do this. If you have a champion, if you are the champion, stand up. Somebody stand up. I know somebody gonna stand up. As she's drinking the soda. Who is the champion? No? Now keep in mind, your peers consider you a champion. So you're doing something that they are noticing that should be shared with others. So I saw 2 champions at this table. Did I not see? I saw 2. I just need you to stand up. I just need champions to stand up. Okay. Now for the rest of us, put your hands together and just clap for the champions. Oh, clap for the champions. We got 4 champions. We got 4 champions who stood up. Now this is how you utilize the champions. You say, what you doing? That's it. Can I have a conversation? Can I get 10 minutes of your time? Tell me what you're doing so I can duplicate that. You all have the answers right here in this room. You absolutely do. It's just now making those connections. How do you make those connections? And of course, we negotiate. On the end of the table, there are some blank sheets of paper. I need everyone to take one and pass one. I need you to simply take a piece of paper and pass a piece of paper. Take one and pass one. 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 We're going to take a piece of paper and pass a piece of paper. Thank you, sis. Take one and pass one. Everyone has a piece of paper? Everyone has a piece of paper. Yes? 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 How many of you all took out a pencil or a ink pen? How many of you? How many of you did that? That's a reflex, isn't it? Piece of paper, I must write on something. You're not writing on anything. You do not need, you do, sorry, I'm just saying, you can, you, do you, you can. I'm gonna give you some instructions, simple instructions. It requires listening to the following, and then as you hear the instructions, you simply do the task. Simply do the task. Now the instructions is you gotta close your eyes. I know, I know. Sit comfortably in your seat and close your eyes, close your eyes. Here are the instructions. You may not ask questions. You may not ask questions. Fold your sheet of paper in half. Tear off the upper right corner. Fold your paper in half. Tear off the upper left corner. Fold your paper in half. Tear off the lower left corner. Open your eyes. Unfold your paper. Show those in the person sitting across for you what you got. Show them what you got. Show them what you got. Show them what you got. What you got? Any two papers? Any two papers the same? Hold your papers up. Hold your papers up. Any two papers the same? Any two paper? Ooh. Okay. Now keep in mind, we all heard the same instructions. How we interpreted them is the result that you have produced. So what is said and what is heard, my point to what Eric has said, speak the language. Speak the language. Because what you say and what is heard is going to have a major impact on how you get the resources and support that you need. We all deliver the information in a different way, but how can you as a team be consistent with the language that you use to eliminate barriers from administrators, from teachers, from the school district? What consistent language can you all create to eliminate those barriers? Hold the papers up again. I just want to see. Lovely. Lovely. Thank you. Thank you. That has nothing to do with nothing. You know that, right? Y'all just has nothing to do with anything, but it is what it is. Okay, team break. You had the team break. This is what we're going to do at this particular moment. Pursue a common outcome and have a common goal to reach. When we first began the conversation, you talked about your team culture. How can I be a better team? How can we be a better team? How can we do what we do, know what we do? Strategies, better leaders. You talked about that team culture. But you also talked about best practices. Talked about best practices. So what we are going to do, we're going to have some group participation. Group participation. I'm going to ask each of you to get in teams of 10, whatever that looks like. Whatever that looks like. Get into teams of 10. And if you're on the same table, if you could put a space in between, that's the next team, we can do that. So you all count off at 10, 1, 2, 3. If you go across, if you go down, however you do it, I just need to have 10 in a team, 10 in a team, 10 in a team, across from each other, one single line, however you'd like to do that. You give each. So what Miss Julia and I are handing out, each team is going to get instructions on what we're going to do. We're going to begin in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you. What Miss Julia is doing, and I will be doing, is that we're going to hand out some instructions to talk about what this next exercise is going to be for each team member. So this teams will involve flip charts and markers. And so we will get that to you as well, but go over what these guidelines are for what we're going to do next. This is a team here. Okay. Excellent. Okay, this is it. Oh, it's just, I think that's a team, one team right here. Yeah. Okay. Okay, so each team has an instruction sheet. And what we are going to do is basically go over some guidelines as to how this will all come together. Knowing that no idea is a bad idea, be open-minded. We know that. Listen as well as contribute, one person to speak at a time. Be ready to actively participate, because what we're going to be doing is what you asked us to do. How can I be a better team? What is our culture? What does that look like? Don't kill the process. Don't kill the process, because sometimes conversation goes, something's going to come out of it. We'll contribute to it as well. We have a 30-minute time frame that we're going to work on this. It may take a little longer or less, but we'll do that. Remember who owns the problem. Who owns the problem? Roles and responsibilities should be managed throughout. So there's going to be a facilitator, an owner, and all of that. On the next page, what key strategic areas should be collective efforts to be centered on during 2023? We're talking about consistent languages. We're talking about changing culture. We're talking about getting champions. We're talking about what the why is. How do we explain that? We're talking about what support is needed. So what we're going to do, how many teams are it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 6, 7. So team 1, if you would take the why, you would take the why. Team 2, best practices. Eric, team 3, collaboration. See, I'm trying to remember names of people who spoke. Team 4, coaching, mentoring, mentee, champions, whatever. Okay. This team right here, team 5, educational updates. That means you're on the agenda. What does that look like? Team 6, resources. Resources, what is needed? Team 7, support needed. Team 8, the why. I know. Mm-hmm. No. And the reason I'm asking for 2 teams to work on the why, there are several whys. There are several whys. So everyone knows 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which ones you got? Okay. Yes. Oh, Austin. Team online. Oh, they can hear me on the back. Oh, I'm sorry. So we have, Austin is going to put 2 teams together. One has 14, one has 13. We're going to ask one of the teams, the team with 14 to do best practices, and then the team with 13 to do educational updates. Does that work? I apologize. That's right. Now, this is the process. You have the handout on the table. This is the process. We want you all, as far as your topic of discussion, we want someone to be the decision maker, because you're going to be engaged in conversation on the why, on resources, on education. You're going to be the the person who's going to own that. So there will be someone in your team who says, this is a passion for me. I want to lead this conversation on educational resources, or this is a passion for me. I want to lead the conversation on the why. So discuss within your team who wants to lead on whatever your topic has been assigned. I know you all are excited. I know you're all excited to be that person. And then you're going to focus on the content. You're going to define the problem. You're going to define the problem. So on the handout that you have, it shows this diagram here. It shows instructions here. You're going to define the problem. You're going to provide relevant information and be able to make decisions. This is what you're going to be able to do. Then the facilitator, so you have a decision maker. You have a facilitator that's going to keep the conversation going. Focus on getting through the process, keeping the meeting on track, promotes creativity, and records the input. So that facilitator keeping you online, making sure that you're following and staying with the time frame, but also scribing. We'll think about the scribe. And then the team as a whole, you're contributing to the ideas. So if your team, and we're going to start in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thank you all for coming back together. I appreciate that. Then the team as a whole is going to contribute their ideas. So if your topic is the why, you're going to get input from individuals. Your team leader or the decision maker saying, this is why the why is important. And then you all are going to contribute to that. That person will say it's important to me because da 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 da. So you're going to just build off of what the decision maker is talking about. Okay? So you're going to begin the conversation, what that's going to look like. Keep in mind, there's a handout in there with this slide in it as well. A clear sense of purpose. You're going to be open with honest communication. You're going to make decisions by consensus. Creative thinking. We have been doing the same thing the same way, getting the same results. We're talking about being creative. What is that going to look like? Explaining what your why is, or your educational, or your support, or your resources. We're going to focus on the core issues. This team over here, I'm going to put them in a hallway.
Eric's team.
I think this is team 2 over here. I'm going to put you in the hallway. Okay. Just give me a second. Just give me a second. Give me a second. Focus on the core issues, set goals, define roles, and positive attributes are encouraged. They are encouraged. If someone gives a response and it's like, that's good. That's good. That's good too. Positive, okay? This is how the process works. There's a problem statement. We're going to give the background. We're going to generate some ideas. You're going to select those ideas. You're going to discuss the benefits. You're going to discuss the critical concerns. Why would this may not work? Why? But then you're also going to put together an action plan. Okay? I'm going to leave these up there. This is where the flip charts come in. I have more flip charts here. Benefits and concerns. You're going to write that stuff down on a flip chart. You're going to start capturing that information. And then as far as an action plan, once you decide on what you would like to create, you're going to create an action plan. So hopefully what we will leave with is 8 suggestions from these teams to say we are going to talk about the why. We're going to talk about support. We're going to talk about you will have a blueprint to start implementing what you said. Can we be more efficient? Can we be a better team? Can we know what we're doing? This work that you're doing here will help guide that. Make sense? Make sense? Then you'll have a group report out. Questions? Questions?
When you're talking about this process, are you meaning that as we come together as a team, like we're talking about resources, are we talking about resources for all of us, or are we talking about resources for our individual districts?
Individually and collectively. So what would resources look like for my district? But what would resources look like for our collective as well? So you're doing two things. Individually, the why. Why is your why important? But why is the why as a whole, collective, important? Does that make sense? Make sense? Okay. Questions, thoughts, comments? Questions, thoughts, comments? We're good? You can all begin talking, Team 2. Come on now. One in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And we are going to all come together in 5. Thank you. I appreciate that. The team over here who has coaching. Team members, who is reporting out? Who is reporting out? She's the scribe and the reporter? Now, you know you can point to someone to report out. That's how it works.
Okay, yeah. Okay, so we talked about coaching, and the benefits that we see in coaching are that it builds confidence, builds capacity, addresses knowledge, skill, and attitude barriers, and it also can address generalization. The concerns are that we often have no common definition of what coaching is. What I think is coaching may be very different from what someone else thinks of coaching. What are we talking about when we say that, and what is like the process of coaching? And then another concern is limited resources, because coaching takes a lot of time and personnel, and also like a limited availability of like educational resources that we could use to make coaching more efficient. And then when we were talking about our action plan, like where would we start with creating coaching programs or adapting our coaching programs to be more efficient or to be more systematic in our teams? We said for us, our action plan would be to create a common starting point, like a standardized starting point, where when we are going to go out and work with a stakeholder, these are like 5 quick fire questions that we're going to ask so that we know exactly where we're starting at and what we're going to target. And then move on to targeted coaching that meets and addresses their specific needs, and then do follow up. But it's kind of like the recycle sign. It's a cyclical thing. And then one of the things that we also added is outsourcing when appropriate. The team from San Juan was sharing with us that they said we wanted everyone in our district to learn how to use read and write Google, when all of the different capacities of that tool. And so they advocated with their district and got funding to have a trainer from Utah State come and build capacity with the whole team. And so they were able to outsource that and get some expertise from outside of their team to help them. And yeah, and then the quote that we were kind of going off of when we were talking in our discussion, our whole team was like, yeah, that coaching needs to paint a picture of like making life easier, making life better, and also making it approachable. Like, you can do this, and it's going to make using this tool is going to make your students' life better, and it's going to make your life as an educator better. And like kind of casting that vision should be a part of the coaching too.
Thank you for sharing that information, knowing that this is the template, knowing that under this, there's going to be some drill downs. when we're identifying builds confidence, what does that mean? And who are we building confidence for? And we understand stakeholders, but who are the stakeholders? We need to drill so everything that you have here is like drill it down, drill it down, drill it down. When you're talking about outsourcing, it's not that you all have to do the work. There are experts out there that will come in and do the work with you and for you as well. So thank you for our St. Pete team making it here safely. San Juan. Where's St. Pete? Is St. Pete even in Utah? I don't know. Okay. Okay. It's one of those two. Well, thank you. We're happy you made it here safely. And so yes. So whenever we're talking about this, even though we have the headers here, we have the talking points here, we know we got to drill it down, drill it down, drill it down so that we know specifically who we are speaking about. Thank you, team. Thank you. Best practices. Okay, whoever was not the scribe. Who was not the scribe. Or, you all choose.
All right, our team had best practices, and we understand that the best practices is already in our UACT manual, so it goes along what we need to do for best practices to run the evaluations, to run our teams, all of that. So we kind of broke it down to what was the area we were having the hardest problem with in our best practices of following through with our AT teams. And we came up with the follow-up process is where we're kind of having a lot of difficulty within our teams. And the benefits of having a follow-up after our evaluations is that we know whether or not that device is working, or whatever we've given as a recommendation is if it's working or not, or if they need other helps or what they need to have. And then one of our concerns was that we need to have a lot of flexibility with that. We had the smallest school district to the biggest area of Team H, because we cover 3 school districts, and to the largest school district with Alpine. And so we have very different needs and for follow-up. And so where something that might work for our district, where we have one person in the district, is not going to, it's not going to be feasible for Alpine to do the same thing. Or what works for Alpine definitely wouldn't work for us because they just had a lot more resources for them. So we needed to know that there needs to be flexibility in our follow-up, but that we still need to have that follow-up discussion and how it's working. And so we were at the evaluation, we plan a visit to train and place the equipment at that appointment. And then at that same appointment, we are going to schedule out 3 to 6 weeks out for that follow-up visit. At the follow-up visit, we're going to check on how the equipment is being used and if there needs to be changes made, or to answer any questions that they're having. And then after that one, we're going to communicate with schools, parents, admin, and follow up that way.
Thank you. Thank you. And like your colleague said, knowing that there are different sizes and everything is not going to be the same, but what we're talking about is what can be consistent. What can that message be? Is the process of follow-up is 3 steps for one small district. Is it 5 steps for another district? So like you say, being flexible, what is that going to look like on that? So thank you for sharing. Okay. Collaboration.
All right, so our focus was collaboration, and we kind of looked at it from a couple different perspectives, but we talked about within teams or within UAT as a whole, and we decided to focus on UAT as a whole. So the benefits and concerns, creating a standard, which is kind of like what the follow-up was, reducing frustration, more efficient, better information. We're gonna move over a little bit. Sounds good.
And then the action plan with the what, we kind of picked two, but the Slack channel that had been mentioned earlier, and then something kind of like PLCs, so that regular teachers do, but one that could be join if you can, and maybe is just scheduled on a Zoom meeting and people can throw their ideas in. Maybe the UATT leadership could schedule some of that, and team members would be responsible. And by when, like start of summer, because we thought most of us in our team discussion would throw out 30 minutes of our summertime to do some problem solving ahead of the school year starting, and then having maybe even some of those rotating times where it was come if you can, or come with a concern, or come with something that you need some problem solving help with. So
Thank you. Again, how do we drill this down? So when we're talking about creating a standard of collaboration, we're talking about small teams, we're talking about big teams, we're talking about the larger team as a whole. And so being able to say, what does this standard look like and how does it apply individually as well as collective? Frustration, you know, you got 40 hours. That was clear that that is frustrating, that you're doing more and you're doing more hours. So what does that frustration look like and how do you eliminate that? And as we had talked earlier to say, can you negotiate that I am going to come in at 10 and leave at 2 in order for me to be successful and be the best person I can be? When you negotiate what that looks like, and then being more efficient. The fact that you all are here today and having conversation with each other, you're talking about efficiency as well. And then better information. What type of information are you talking about? Is it parent? Is it student? Is it administrator? We are drilling all of this down. And that's where you all come into play, because this team can say what information means to them, but you all are also contributing. We need information on this. We need information on this, on that part. So thank you. You're going to start this summer. All righty. Okay. We can shoot for that. I love it. Educational updates.
Okay, educational updates. The biggest problem our teams seem to want to solve is getting a buy-in from the rest of our educator teams and from our administrators. I think that was supposed to say, making sure they're aware of what we're doing will help with that a lot. So our background, a lot of the members of our team don't see the need for assistive technology. They're not referring. They're maybe not following through with the devices that we're recommending. So our ideas are to be present at some of these meetings, present at the principal meetings, or maybe at the faculty meetings, getting on the agenda. We want to be being present with the different intervention teams, share success stories like on an email or in a newsletter, be able to provide training for different team members. So make sure our paraprofessionals understand how to use the devices since they're spending a lot of time with these kids. And then also making sure our principals are aware of the benefits and the resources we have. If our principals know what good outcomes can happen when the kids are using the devices, maybe they're looking at that when they visit the classrooms and they're able to comment and get the teachers to see, hey, we're all aware that this is going to help our students. So benefits, hopefully we'll see increased student success. We'll see increased capacity of our staff to use that because they're getting that training, they're getting the updates and seeing the good stuff. And we'll be complying with federal law by using our devices. Our concern, funding, time to make these emails and resources. We're not really getting invited to those meetings. So asking for that spot and hoping that we get the spot in the meeting, which has been a problem in the past, it sounds like. And then action planning, we want to maybe survey the staff, see what the staff and administrator needs are, what they understand about assistive technology, and to develop consistent training presentations so that everybody's aware. So those were our ideas about educator updates.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, knowing that you all are able to also add to this, even though the teams wrote their thoughts, we want you all to be able to contribute to the additional information, your thoughts as well, so that we can see what the trends are. when we're looking at how do we implement these strategies here. So Austin I'll get these, we'll get them typed up some kind of way or scanned. And so they will be loaded onto whatever access you have available where you can add additional information in there as well. Okay. Resources.
Okay, so with our resources, our biggest thing with our team is time. And so we kind of got stuck on that in our discussion because all of us were concerned with time and time management. And so we were sharing ideas on how to maybe help with time and what way we could get more time built into the schedule, which you can't really build more time into your schedule, let's be honest. So some of the ideas that we had, because that was our resource, our number one concern was how do we get time for our team and our team meetings and everything, is that trying to make sure that some of the things that we could do ahead of schedule, like, is that better? Sorry. Do ahead of schedule is like, one of the teams said over here, like, 30 minutes before the school year starts, they'd be willing to plan in that. And one of the things we had done on a team I was on prior is we met in August, and as a team leader, the team leader kind of went through, knew when all the parent-teacher conferences were, knew when like the big breaks were. And we had set days that we met every month, and that day was set aside for evaluations, team meeting, and team trainings. And if you couldn't make the whole day, you came for what part of the day you could make. And so one of our my district is microscopic. I'm Sanpete. Yeah. So and then we have Tooele in ours, and we have Spectrum. Thank you. I was going to say that wrong. We have Spectrum. And so time was different. So Spectrum is trying to meet twice a month. I have me, so I meet with myself. And Tooele was hoping to try and meet once a month. And so all of you have to decide with your teams how often you need to meet and what that looks like. So kind of determining that in August. And so one thing we had talked with Spectrum is if they're meeting twice a month, kind of pick those 2 days in August, that every month it will be these 2 days, and then have team members sign up for the days they can come. So you may not have every single team member on that day, but that team member knows kind of like for the next 8 months, I know I've dedicated myself for this day. I'm going to try not to schedule meetings. I'm going to try and make sure like my paras for our teachers or your SLPs, your IEP meetings and your evaluations aren't going to occur then, and do all of that ahead. So you're not like, okay, it's January, what day are we meeting today? Because then that takes all your time doing emails and everything. And then everyone that agrees to come on that day then has to commit. So then your commitment issue is hopefully increased and your lack of people coming decreases, right? So having a set the evaluation times and evaluation meetings done, do the pre-planning. So pre-planning, having like either your forms and everything and your evaluation boxes kind of pre-created so that those can just go out the day of the evaluation and you're not having to create those during the school year. The other ideas we wondered about and we talked about those are the compiling sites, and we talked about ones that are already made. So UATT has UATT.org. Sorry, I turn away from this and then I go loud and I sound awful to myself. So I don't know how sensitive you are, but they have UATT.org. They have Slack for team leaders. So Tooele, we were talking about maybe like they could do something like Slack, which it's where you can chat amongst your team, and their team itself could do a Tooele assistive technology team Slack thing. And if there was a question, they could possibly post it over to the team leaders and we could help answer that. But we could also use those to share ideas and problem solve and new resources. And then having a site that compiles like all the team forms. So every district kind of adapts the form to make it fit. But it would be nice if we kind of could see like, here's Granite's forms, and you click on Granite's forms and then have a list. Here's Jordan's, and then you could say, oh, I absolutely love that form. I'd like to change these 2 things, and then put Sanpete, or I'd love to put these things and put, oh, hey, Tooele or Spectrum or whatever. And to have the team forms, but then also keep the national forms that are on that UATT.org, because there's a lot of the national forms.
And training videos are on that YouTube page, but add more training videos that people might see that they're in need of, because those could be sent out to teachers and stuff. The benefit, if we pre-plan at the first of the year, we're spending less time during the year. We don't, if we have a compilation site, then we're not duplicating time and we're not recreating forms and having to type those out by hand. And our action plan was looking at getting the access to the Slack, making sure everyone has UATT.org and access to the YouTube page through UATT. And that's kind of as far as we got.
Thank you. Thank you. We're talking about efficiency here. There was a lot of efficiencies that was shared in this presentation here. Being able to use what existing that you have, whether it's the forms or your Slack channel or your YouTube channel. There was a lot listed in there as well. Supports.
All right, my team waved to everyone. There's my team. They're great. So we're all part of the Granite team, so that made it kind of easy to talk about things pertaining to what we're doing. So for the background for supports, probably the biggest support is knowledge about who we are and what we do. We talked about budget, teacher support, access to information and training. And letting teachers know this might be a lot of work up front, but it'll save you time in the long run. And then buy-in from the entire team and team advocating. So these are some of the great ideas we came up with to get support, and you can read through them. The idea that we picked was a superintendent snapshot for our district. Our superintendent sends out an email about a certain department, and so we're hoping that we can be a part of that. One of the benefit that we would get from doing that is awareness from general ed teachers who aren't necessarily special ed, but that could see what we do and what we have to offer. And also to some of our special ed teachers, because a lot of them don't know what's available to them. And then our concerns with doing that is that we would get an onslaught of referrals of people are like, oh, this is a magic wand. So then we thought of a solution for that would be to have kind of interventions. Have you tried this first? Just to make sure that it's an appropriate referral. And then our action plan is to do a PR to administration to share success stories so that to help people say, hey, this is what's working. Oh, I have a student like that. Maybe it would work for them.
Thank you. Now, it's not that I need to talk about everything, but when you look at this part right here, superintendent, that administrator who is overseeing, that is overseeing budgets, finances, it is definitely crucial to use the language that they use, create that story from beginning to success into the community. So knowing that this is someone, I don't know if you have had the opportunity or who goes to superintendent meetings. I don't know, can you get on the agenda to have the conversation to talk about that? Is that a yes or a no? Who goes to superintendents? Just teachers? Just principals? Who goes? Anybody? Do you all go? Have any of you ever gone to a superintendent meeting? Is it because they said you're not invited? Can you invite yourself? Can I invite you? I'm going to invite you. I want you all to think of, I want you to reframe where you should be. Anything that involves conversations around the students that you serve, you should be there. That's my 2 cents on that. Things are being created for you without you. And so how do you change that? Either if you're having a conversation with your principal to say, this is so important, can I come to the next superintendent meeting? I want to be in the space. Okay, it's a thought. Okay, we've got the why.
We got the first why. We'll get another why in just a minute. We're starting to see some things start to rhyme and a few commonalities. This is some of our ideas are going to sound pretty similar if you've been paying attention. But the problem is that people don't understand why assistive technology is important. It's always just one more thing that's on everyone's plate that is, you know, if you're not using AT, usually no one's on fire, it's not a big deal. And so it gets kind of shoved to the back burner. So people need to understand, all stakeholders need to understand, from administrators all the way down to the students, that we're putting devices into hands and saying, here you go, why it is important, what it can do for you, and what your role is in AT consideration. So we focused our action plan around educating, training, advocacy, and advertising. We're selling a product and a service here for stakeholders, and we kind of broke it down to different stakeholders. So some of this is going to sound familiar. With administration, we can invite ourselves to those principal meetings, educate LEAs during IEP meetings when we're there. We, in the past, have had, we somehow got invited to a school board meeting once, and that was pretty cool to have all the school board members use an AT device and see what it's like. Basically just inviting yourself to the table, figuring out ways to be in there in school PLCs and in professional development days. With teachers and staff, a lot of overlap. Again, professional development days, PLCs, IEPs. We try to send out like a weekly email with a tool of the week, just so that they know that AT still exists. And if you're not reading it, you're still ignoring this AT email every week in your inbox. With parents, again, we're trying to use that time in IEP meetings to educate and advertise, help them figure out what they're already using at home, whether it be Audible or their Alexa or closed captioning on Netflix, whatever it is. Sharing videos of their student being successful, or other students being successful, and making sure when we are doing things like sharing progress reports that assistive technology is included in there, and not whether or not that's an IEP goal, that AT is invited to that meeting as well, to the progress report. And then as far as getting the message to students themselves, help them see how this can increase their success by, you know, they can use more age-appropriate vocabulary. They can, peers can help train them. They can have access to personal interests. So if they don't like to read about Charlemagne, maybe they would like to read about hunting instead, and we can use AT to help them access their interests and not just what the teacher wants them to do. Also, we talked about trying to, like other people have said, we, on the UATT website, we have student success videos already that have been created in previous conferences and for this conference that anyone can use and share to say, this is what other students have been able to do with this. Some students may really benefit from being able to watch a video from another student that looks and sounds like them and not that weird tall guy, how AT helped them rather than a teacher saying it. So did I miss anything, team? Okay, thank you.
Thank you, thank you. I think one of the things that we see in the trends as far as what the why is and how do you market that, how do you sell that, how do you let individuals understand how important it is, I think that has been weaved through all of the presentations today. So you understand what the why is now educating others as to what the why is and how important it is for student success as well. Yeah. Why? Oh. What happens when you do that?
Nose goes. Last one.
Oh, so if it's this
Yeah.
way. Oh,
Nose goes. Last one touched their nose goes. Even though I touched my nose several times. Not picking it, just touching it. Yeah. Exterior. Exterior, not interior. Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's like the short straw. I only speak in front of groups on Sundays, and that's because Jesus compels me. So apparently nose goes works as well. I should just sit down and just say ditto, because I think we're finding that same theme. Ours was really just about that marketing. Apparently, I made a statement at some point that said, to increase the understanding of all stakeholders of the purpose of AT, to increase equitable access to Tier 1 instruction and life skills in order to reach a student's full potential of success. That was the why, right? Our big focus, I won't go over all of it. Our big focus was similar, to try and pull at the heartstrings, get some videos of cute little kids being successful, because telling somebody that Bobby used his device 4 times in a 3-week period is really boring, right? Most of the time, there's very few people are going to worry about the quantitative, but the qualitative is what's going to get the most bang for our buck. So a lot of the same interventions or ideas to come forth and get us noticed, to get that seat at the table. All those things, benefits, better understanding, more referrals, further support, parents feel heard, team strategies or learn strategies, more members on teams, improved scores and participation in school, concerns, more referrals. Having to have that quantitative data, which we know they'll want, and then just that increased time for referrals. But we do have action plans, like by the end of this school year, in order to implement to the beginning of next school year. Just trying to get some of those things prepared to show to all those stakeholders. And then the semantics of the language, right? A parent's going to care a whole lot in a different way than an administrator, right? There's resources there, and I think the squeaky wheel sometimes get those, and we're a very small minority down the list of things for AT. So.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Do we have any, as far as our virtual team members? Okay. Okay. Well, if they send some information in a chat, then we will share that as well then. Okay. So listen, we have had conversation today. We have had conversation. If we choose to leave this space today, after this conversation, and do nothing, we have simply had conversation. So my question to you as team members, as colleagues, how are we going to hold yourself responsible and accountable to do the work? Knowing that this right here, that you have identified with these 8 categories, this is a 2-year process. It's a 2-year process. So if you're looking at starting with the why, you have to identify what is your most important that's going to have the most impact on it. If you're looking at starting with marketing and PR, the most impact, you all will need to decide what is it that is going to be the most important that you need to implement to move forward that's going to have the greatest impact. And how are you going to drill that down so that those that you are sharing the information with, they're going to say, yes, absolutely, yes, absolutely, yes. So this is just the beginning of the conversation. It's now up to your leaders, the rest of your leaders, to talk about, tell us what the trends are, tell us what's the most important, how we're going to rank them, and then how are we going to implement them as a team. You already said you're at 40 hours on Wednesday. You already said that. What are you going to take off your plate in order to do this work? What can you take off your plate in order to do this work that's going to have the impact? Questions, thoughts, comments? Yeah. Questions, thoughts, comments? It's a lot. It's absolutely a lot. But what you're asking to do is change the way you do the work, change the way you interact with each other, change the way you provide the services to your clients, to your stakeholders, to see the successful student enter and then exit and be much more efficient in what they do and how they operate in the community. So this is the work that you have charged each other to do. You're all in this room together. You heard it all. You heard it together. So how do you now pull this all together to say, let's start here first? And how do we create that language to start here first? Okay, my name is Emma Houston. I work at University of Utah. I am the Assistant Vice President of Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. I am the Chief Diversity Officer for the University of Utah. I get to go to work every day and talk about equity, diversity, inclusion every single day, to deans, to associate deans, to vice presidents, to students, to faculty, as well as to our community at large. I had the opportunity to be invited to participate in Quatrix. Y'all know Quatrix is down south. They are a partner with the University of Utah. I sit on their board. They said, Miss Emma, can you come to our summit and be on the main stage? Because we got Ryan Reynolds, we got Martha Stewart, we got Derek Huff. Can you come be in that space? I said, yes. I said, yes. That has nothing to do with this conversation here, but this is it. When someone asks you to do something, do you say yes and then figure it out? When someone says, what's your why? Let me tell you what my why is. When someone says, how do you help a student be successful? Let me take the time to tell you how a student is successful. Yes, I can answer that question. Yes, I can answer that question. And whatever Julia says with that answer, Austin will say it as well, because you all have created your language. So you do not deviate from what the message is. You be consistent and you repeat it. Again, my name is Emma Houston. It's been my pleasure to be in a space with you today.
We have a very small thank you gift, but once again, can we say thank you to Emma?